after we got our second round pick because I just didn't want to sit through both rounds. And I just thought this would be a good starting point. I expected us to go offensive line here because some of these wide receivers are falling, especially once you see, Jalen Hyatt still on the board, Cedric Tillman's on the board, A.T. Perry's on the board. I thought it was a good opportunity to go after either John Michael Schmitz, who we just drafted, or Osiris Torrance. And I think that pick made a lot of sense. I think it made a ton of sense. Um, I still think that there's a good chance that we're going to get uh, a wide receiver that we feel decent about. I think that that's a good chance that could happen. Jalen Hyatt, like I said, is still on the board. We've heard over and over again from Joe Shane that he doesn't mind trading up. It could be a trade up situation for Jalen Hyatt or trade up situation for A.T. Perry. And we got 10 people in here pretty quick. Appreciate that. But I think we could be in a situation for a trade up, or we could just kind of just sit there for a while. I don't know if we trade up into the second round because what are we already? I think the second round might already be over. Let me take a look at everything. Okay, we're still in the second round, but I don't think that we'll trade up into the second round, but I do think that there's a good chance that we may trade up in the third round if we want a receiver and those guys are falling. Now last year we went Wandale Robinson round two. I think Wandale is a good player. So it was a solid pick from that standpoint, but it was a little early because we had a high pick. And then on top of that, I just I didn't completely agree with it, but I think he'll be a good player for us. But then in the third round, we went with well, I'm forgetting his name. We went with Josh Azudu, and I thought that was a reach. I thought it was a reach, especially because they just came out and said that he was a developmental player. So, and again, for some reason, my streaming software isn't allowing me to see the comments here, which is crazy. Not getting that. But anyway, I'm going to have to look back at the chat again. But what's going on, West End? I see Unlimited is in here. Yeah, they do the third round today too. So I'm gonna stay on until we make our third round pick. Let's see when we make that pick. I think our pick moves up in the third round because we're kind of tied with some teams. But let's see. Third round. Because this time we picked at 26. We pick at 26 again. So we aren't tied with anybody. We just pick at 26 again. And it's Dallas after us. So not surprising. But I'm gonna stay on here until we get to 26. What's going on, Heartstorm? Yeah, I'm using Opus. I've done a lot of work with them. They have a ton of cool features, but the last 2 days the comments haven't been working. So hopefully they can patch that and fix that. But right now I'm having to look at my phone to see the comments. Marvin Mims just goes to the Broncos right there. That's a good player. I mean, I think he's a good player. I think he's well worth that second round pick right out of Oklahoma. But let's see. Shane doing exactly what I would do. DB. Yeah. Yeah, I really think that John Michael Schmitz and Osiris Torrance right there were sticking out like sore thumbs. Jalen Hyatt is, he's a good player. He's a fast player more than anything. But it's the reason why he hasn't gone off the board yet. But you had to take the offensive lineman, whether it be John Michael Schmitz or Osiris Torrance. So that made a ton of sense. And I just didn't think there would be any way that you could go away from taking an offensive line. The value was there. I mean, we would not be angry as Giants fans if we took Osiris Torrance or if we took John Michael Schmitz at 25, even with uh, Deontay Deontay Banks on the board. We wouldn't be upset with us taking one of those offensive linemen. So I think that was great value there. I mean, we needed a center definitely. Let's see. Let's see if NFL Network gives a little analysis on John Michael Schmitz. I'll kind of read what they have. They have committed to Daniel Jones and now have to surround him with an improved supporting cast. Blah blah blah. Let's look at John Michael Schmitz. I just want to see what they think of his profile. I just see him as like a guy that is going to come and be a solid player for you. I don't know if he'll be a Pro Bowler, but I do think he'll be a solid starting center. 6'3", 201, 32-inch arms. I mean, he's playing center. That doesn't matter. Um, 5'3", 40-yard dash. Again, doesn't matter for a center. How many reps for the bench press? 26. Again, I mean, he's a center. So let's take a look at. They compare him to Ben Jones, who was a Pro Bowl center. Highly consistent zone scheme center with decent size, well schooled in all phases of the run game. He consistently uses the proper footwork and angles to find early positioning. And that's what I see. I mean, he just doesn't do things wrong. He's not going to be a guy that just like destroys people. And they agree here. They say his drive power is average. But I do think he's going to be a guy that does things right. That's going to make us think like we're glad he's at center. I think that this is what we needed to do because we don't have a center on the roster, and now we do. We didn't have one, and now we do. And I wasn't surprised that Joe Tipman went before him. Wasn't surprised there at all. But we are into the third round now, and let me pull up. I think what I'll do is I might just pull up this draft tracker, and I might have this up. Yesterday, I had like a mock draft on the screen. I think I'm gonna pull up the draft tracker and just have that on the. I was gonna say on the field. I think I might just we pick 89 and we're at 64. So yeah. 26 pick in the third round is what the Giants have. I'm gonna throw this as I said, I'm gonna throw this draft tracker up so we can keep track of what's going on. Let's see. Share window. All right. Okay, let's go full screen. Really blurred for now. Okay. So the Eagles are on the clock with the second overall pick. Who knows how they got this pick? Like who knows how they got this pick, but they have two picks back to back here. I mean, this is ridiculous. I don't know if they made a trade in the second round. Let's see. Because I have not been paying attention to what happened the last couple of picks because I was setting up the stream. But let's look at what happened. Did they make a trade? If I would have known that I couldn't see the comments here, I would probably have used StreamYard today. Um, let's see. They must have traded away their second round pick. Yeah. I think that's what they did because they have back to back picks coming up here at the top of the third round. And it just makes you just think like they're probably going to knock these two picks at the top of the third round out of the park. So the pick is in right now for the Bears, and they took Zach Pickens, not a guy I was checking for. But here we go. Philly back to back third round. Let's see what's on the board here for Philly. You got to think Philly is let's look at undrafted. So Philly has Jalen Hyatt on the board, man. I would consider taking Jalen Hyatt if I was Philly right here. They have back to back picks. They can take Drew Sanders and Jalen Hyatt. They can take Josh Downs. He could play the slot for them. They don't need a receiver, but that would just make their offense that much more deadly. Ringo, he can afford to sit Ringo down for a couple of years behind those two starting corners. You can also let's see if I'm missing anything. Yeah, you can go a lot of different directions here. DeJuan Jones is still on the board. Developmental offensive tackle. Big guy. Tank Dell is there. Clark Phillips is there. They could go a lot of places. They could even go running back. Let's see what's here at running back. Zach Evans. I wouldn't go running back here, but there are a ton of ways they can go. Has Hendon Hooker gotten drafted yet? No. Wow. I'm really interested to see what what direction the Eagles going. I'm kind of interested to see that because they got back to back picks, and they've gotten defensive end, they've gotten D tackle. They need a safety. I'm not sure if the safety class is right now. Let's see. Jordan Battle, maybe, but it's kind of high for Jordan Battle. They could take a safety, but I just think, like, do they really need any help anywhere? I would take Jalen Hyatt if I was the Eagles, and I might just take Drew Sanders, like I just said. I mean, this is third round. This is prime real estate to take one of these guys and just take a guy that's not necessarily in need but can do great. And all of these linebackers here, Dion Henley, Drew Sanders, I would have been fine taking at 25. Trenton Simpson, I'm not a fan of, but a lot of people wanted him at 25. So there's a ton of linebackers still on the board, and Henley is my sleeper. I think Henley can be really good. He's a converted wide receiver. Where do you guys thinking that the Eagles are going to go after this round? Because I'm thinking they just take these top two players that are on the NFL's board, and they may trade one. They may trade one of these picks, but I would just take these two players. Tajay Spears is on the board too. I didn't even notice that. Tajay Spears is on the board. I would take Tajay Spears this high. You got Chase Brown. You got Eric Gray. I wouldn't take the rest of these guys this high, but I might think about Tajay Spears. But I'm not even going running back if I'm Philly. Like I said, I would have to go after Jalen Hyatt or even Josh Downs because you got AJ Brown, you got Devontae Smith. Why not add in Jalen Hyatt to run a million miles per hour out of the slot, or Josh Downs to route people up in the slot? I think that just makes perfect sense to me. Like explosive plays all day, that really adds a whole new dimension to their offense. Or not even a whole new dimension. It just strengthens a strength. And they're saying they also have a weakness at guard. Let's see what's here at guard. Voorhees tore his ACL. Anthony Bradford, I wouldn't take him this high. I really don't see much here. Let's see what's here at center. Stromberg, Whippler. Maybe Whippler you could kind of make play guard, but if I'm Philly, just continue to take the best players on the board. I mean, there's no reason not to. That's how they got to where they were by just continuing to build on the defensive line, continuing to build on the offensive line. No matter if they feel like they have 3, 4 guys there, still drafting a defensive lineman in the first round. So the Eagles have made their pick, and the Eagles are on the clock. So it doesn't look like they're doing a bunch of planning there because it seems like they just made their pick. What's up, Maximus? Back here for day 2. Jeffrey Lurie just talked to somebody on the phone. I feel like it's Jalen Hyatt. I think that makes a lot of sense. They don't need a receiver at all. They don't need it at all. Exactly. That's the secret word, Mac. I'm not going to say it. I'm not going to say it, but I think that is a secret word. I would love that word to be said. The Eagles could also go linebacker, Drew Sanders, Dion Henley, but let's see where they go. Eagles, our lads, depth chart. All right, let's see where the Eagles are going. NFL.com is a little bit before it, so you guys are going to get spoiled, but they're going to announce it. Trent Cole is announcing it. Tyler Steen. Okay. They said Tyler Steen and then they said guard. So they're going to move Tyler Steen to guard out of Alabama. Um, can't say I've watched too much of his tape, but he's an offensive lineman. Oh, so they just ran it. They just read it off. Sidney Brown was still on the board? I did not know that Sidney Brown was still on the board. I had no idea. That would have been my first pick for them. I really appreciate how they just read off both of their picks instead of just like waiting along. I really appreciate that. Yeah, I definitely loved our second round pick. I thought that's exactly what we needed to do. So they're showing some tape of Tyler Steen. I mean, the Eagles are putting on a clinic for how you build a roster, man. Like building out through the trenches. I mean, ridiculous. Jalen Carter, Nolan Smith, Tyler Steen, and then Sidney Brown. Sidney Brown's a guy I would take at this in the second round. Like if we would have gotten Sidney Brown this past pick that we just made, I would think that that was a good pick. I would say the Eagles, the Seahawks, and maybe even the Lions. The Lions haven't had a bad draft, and they got a pick coming up. But the Lions, after that Jameer Gibbs pick, where I just felt like they kind of jumped the gun there. After that Jameer Gibbs pick, I mean they got Jack Campbell, Sam Laporta, and Brian Branch. So they're going to continue to be explosive on offense, and they also improve their defense. Brian Branch can play multiple positions. He can play that slot. He can play safety. Yeah, Sidney Brown is a really good player. The Eagles, I mean, they're continuing to get better, man. I mean, it it's ridiculous that their roster was already almost perfect, and now they've strengthened that. And the fact that they'll probably be back next round, and they'll probably be able to add a slot receiver that can play sizable snaps for them. I'm pulling up the Eagles roster on our lads. Um, let's see what they got here at DeMarcus Ware is reading the pick for the Broncos. That's funny. I wonder how Cowboys fans feel. Their slot right now for the Eagles is Olamide Zacchaeus. They signed him from Atlanta. Let's see. So right now he's their slot. They can afford to add a slot, and there's going to be one the next round. There's just going to be one there. Exactly, and Drew Sanders is still there. All the linebackers besides Drew Sanders and Jack Campbell are still there. And the Lions are on the clock again. Let's see if they can add to what I think has been a really good draft so far. Like I said, I mean, I thought that they were overreacting with the Jameer Gibbs thing, but they were still able to add to their defensive backfield and add a middle linebacker. So I can't really blame them too much. But let's see what the Lions can do here. I think let's see what corners are on the board because they got Brian Branch who can play the slot. But let's see if we can find a corner here. Uh, Ringo is there, but you don't want him starting off the bat. Clark Phillips is there. I think it's probably Clark Phillips, Darius Rush, and Keely Ringo. Those are my cornerbacks that I think could go here for the Lions. Let's see. Lions, they got their tight end, they got their inside linebacker. It says they don't need a cornerback. I feel like they could use one, but what do I know? NFL Network says they need a cornerback, but ESPN says they don't need a cornerback. Yeah, definitely, but maybe they felt like somebody was gonna. I do think that Jameer Gibbs would have probably been overdrafted by somebody, but it is what it is. I think he'll be a good player for him. It's just I wouldn't have made that pick that high. But at least at least he can catch the ball for them. He's going to be a guy that can line up in the slot, line up outside. So I think they'll get their picks worth. I just thought that they wouldn't be able to get that corner, which they kind of didn't. They got Brian Branch, but they could have added uh, Christian Gonzalez and Jack Campbell and Brian Branch, and that really turns around your defense. And then they could have probably gotten Zach Charbonnet in the second round instead of the tight end. And then here in the third round, they could have gotten, let's see who's still here at tight end. Darnell Washington, who probably is you can make an argument of if that's overdrafting him or not. But they could have done it a different way. Because I mean, it depends if they're actually going to utilize Jameer Gibbs in the receiving game a lot. Because if they're not, then Zach Charbonnet could have done as good a job, if not better, running between the tackles. That's just my opinion. But I mean, either way, I think the Lions are having a good draft. Pick is in for the Lions. Let's speed this up, people. 20 minutes in, about what, 5 picks? If we can, if Hyatt is there at 26, I mean, he's got to be in the conversation. I don't think linebacker is in the conversation only because I mean, unless they feel so strongly about one of these linebackers. But again, I mean, the guy's probably only going to be playing about 30% of the snaps, and a wide receiver that we take is going to be a lot more impactful. But it is what it is. So the Lions brought in Cam Sutton, Emmanuel Mosley, David Montgomery. Yeah, we have the 89th overall pick, and that's the 26th pick in the third round. Would have had two third round picks, but we traded that away for Darren Waller, which I have no issue with. No issue with at all. All right, let's see where the Lions go. Again, the site might spoil it for you in like a couple seconds before they make the pick. Hendon Hooker. Wow. I guess the Lions. I guess the Lions are looking for a succession plan after Jared Goff. I guess they don't believe in him. I mean, Jared Goff is not an old man, but I guess they don't like him. It's the second time Jared Goff is getting replaced while playing pretty well. I mean, Jared Goff is coming off of, or maybe they just look at him as a third round quarterback. I mean, as a backup quarterback. But it looks like they want to probably replace Jared Goff down the road. But Hendon Hooker's kind of young. I mean, kind of old. Jared Goff is coming off of a season where he threw for 4,400 yards, 29 touchdowns, and 7 interceptions. Almost brought the Lions to the playoffs. And instead of improving that defense, they decided to go Hendon Hooker. Interesting. I guess they just thought that he was sticking out so much they couldn't afford to pass on him. Interesting. I mean, how long do they expect Hendon Hooker to sit is my question, because Hendon Hooker is what, already 26? So I mean, he can sit for a year or two, but tough. Hendon Hooker right there. Let's see. What's going on, Kareem? What do I think of the first two picks, Scotty? I think, I mean, I would have taken both of those players at 25. So I love the pick. I love the fact that we got JMS at, um, I love the fact that we got JMS in the second round. I think that's a great value. Tudo, haven't seen you in a while, man. How's it going? But yeah, I just really like the fact that we improved that center position. We didn't have a center on the roster. People were talking about moving Shane Lemieux to center. I don't want Shane Lemieux doing anything on the offensive line next year, to be honest with you. I'm really glad we got a center. So it looks like it looks like they're moving on from Jared Goff. It's probably not going to be this first year, but that's unfortunate. I mean, again, the dude threw for 4,400 yards, 29 and 7. That's not too bad. I would think that, I mean, maybe they think he just can't be that quarterback that wins them the Super Bowl, which is, I mean, he's been to a Super Bowl before. I mean, he's been there before, but I guess they didn't see it that way. So they forego the opportunity to take. I mean, what's there on defense? Just to refresh my memory. I mean, I would have taken. There's a couple of cornerbacks that I like here. Ringo, developmental guy, kind of, but Clark Phillips the third and Darius Rush were guys that I thought could be possible picks there. Yeah, he is arguably the best center in the draft, and Tank Dell goes to Houston there. That'll be a nice piece for CJ Stroud. Um, who else have the? Let's see what else the Texans have done to help out CJ Stroud. Yeah, I do think we're going to take. I think we're going to take a wide receiver, but we'll see how these players go off the board. If not, I mean, I think we'll get a good player. I think there are a lot of good players on the board, but I don't want to see us reach. Yeah, I mean, Tank Dell is like 5'8". I couldn't. We can't. We don't need another guy that short on our team. We just don't. But Texans, that's what I'm looking for. Where have the Texans gone so far to help out CJ Stroud? Just interested. Is that the first receiver they've taken? So they got CJ Stroud, they got Will Anderson, they got Juice Scruggs. So they improved the offensive line, and then they picked up Tank Dell. So that gives them one weapon. Yeah, Hyatt and Tillman are there for now. Now, if anybody is going to take Jalen Hyatt, it'd be the Raiders. So let's see where they go here. Raymond Chester. Tudo says he's very happy about the Giants drafts. Wasn't so happy they traded up one position to give up so much for Tay. I don't know if he would have been there anyway. I mean, the Jags might have liked him. Another team may have wanted to trade up ahead of us. There's a lot of things. I don't think we just would trade up and just give those picks away for no reason. But at the end of the day, I mean, we gave up a fifth and a seventh round pick. We had, what, 10 picks or 11 picks? I don't think we would have used all those picks anyway. And I mean, a fifth and a seventh round pick, very rarely are those picks that you really are like, that turned it into a good player, besides maybe a special teamer. Byron Young, defensive tackle, yeah. That's a solid pick there for the Raiders. So we got 8, 9, 10. We got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19. 19 picks into the Giants. So I do think it's very possible that they move up if they really want a guy like Jalen Hyatt, or if they really want a guy like Cedric Tillman, or if they really want A.T. Perry. I think that this is the round that you get that wide receiver. I think after this round, let's see. I think after this round, there is a drop off. Kayshon Boutte is a guy that could be a monster, but you got to figure out the off the field stuff. Michael Wilson is a guy that could be a monster, but he has not been able to stay healthy at all. He's played like 14 games in college. Um, Other than that, I mean, there's a drop off. You're taking the risk with Butte because of the off the field stuff, and not even the off the field stuff as far as that thing that happened with the staff at LSU. It's just the fact that I watched as an LSU fan, Butte kind of gave up at times when he didn't get the ball, and you just I don't know if the Giants agree with that type of behavior. And then again, Michael Wilson cannot stay healthy. And he could be a monster, but he can't stay healthy. So those two are the only two that I see there as like, guys that we need to take. Um, but as far as this third round, I see Hyatt, I see Downs, I see Tillman, I see Scott, who could go in the fourth round, but I think he's a third rounder. I think he's an early fourth rounder, but I think somebody will take him in the fourth round before our pick. And then you got A.T. Perry, who I one of my favorite receivers in the draft. It's not, if not my favorite. And that's really all I really see at wide receiver, where I'm like, those guys are going to come in and make an instant impact. Again, besides Butte and Michael Wilson, who have their own question marks. And I don't really see anybody else. Maybe Parker Washington, who's like a sixth round pick, fifth round pick, maybe. So if the Giants want their guy and a run on receiver starts, they're going to have to move up 100%. Yeah, Deontay, he does have a good vibe. He seems confident, but he doesn't seem delusional. He seems like he's going to come in and put in the work, but at the same time, he's not going to, he's going to put in work. You get what I'm saying? He's confident because of the work that he puts in. Yeah, I don't think he's Eli Apple at all. Eli Apple was kind of crazy. He still is. He's kind of crazy. Well, just as I talked about it, the Giants have traded up. The Giants have traded up, people. The Giants have traded up. So I don't know where they traded up to, but apparently the Giants have traded up. I saw it on Twitter. I don't know what pick they traded. I don't know what they gave up. But Tom Pelissero right now, about 50 seconds ago, said the Giants traded up to 73. Okay. So I'm going to hit record here, and we're going to see. I'll hit record after they read the Cardinals pick. They got to be taking a wide receiver here. It's got to be Hyatt, or it's got to be A.T. Perry. It's got to be one of those. But right now, Cardinals pick is in. After they read the Cardinals pick, I'll hit record and start recording my video. But I'm not surprised at all that the Giants traded up. Not surprised at all. We traded up with the Rams. Not showing up yet. Maybe I need to hit refresh or something, but it's not showing up yet. This has got to be a wide receiver. Appreciate the sub, Optimus. Appreciate it. It's got to be a wide receiver. I mean, I don't see any other reason because, again, after this round, the wide receiver position falls off. It just does. It just plain and simple does. Could be a running back, but I don't see any running back worth trading up here, to be honest with you. I think if Zach Charbonnet is here or something, which he's not, but I think if he was there, then that's like a guy you need to trade up for if you see him falling. But other than that, man, like I feel like I feel like they're coming up to get their wide receiver. Now, if they traded up to get some, please, I really hope they didn't trade up to take somebody like Trenton Simpson or something. I was thinking I was going to be on here for about an hour, 45 minutes, hour, 2 hours, but looks like I might be on here for an hour. Not sure what we gave up for the pick yet. Not sure what we gave up for the pick though. So as soon as they read this Cardinals pick, I think I'll just go ahead and hit record here. What's going on YouTube? Right now they're reading off the Cardinals pick, and I am at the same time hitting record because the Giants have traded up to 73. I thought that this was very possible. I thought that this was very likely because when you look at the receiver board right now, you got Jalen Hyatt there, you got A.T. Perry there, you got even Josh Downs there, who's a good route runner. You got a couple of wide receivers here, but after this round, after this clump of wide receivers, I'll read them off. Jalen Hyatt. Um, let's see. Let's look at the availability. Jalen Hyatt, Josh Downs, Cedric Tillman, Tyler Scott, A.T. Perry. That group of wide receivers, I'd be happy with any of these guys. But at the same time, after this round, you got only two guys that I'd be happy with. One is Keyshawn Boutte, who has, you don't know which guy you'll get on Sunday. You don't know if he'll give up on the team. You don't know much. And the other is Michael Wilson, who could be a complete monster. He could be a complete monster, and he could just be that guy for you. But at the same time, he can't stay healthy. So those two are way too big a risk. So you got to be pulling from those top five, which again, Hyatt, Downs, Tillman, A.T. Perry, and Tyler Scott. So the Giants pick is in. Looks like someone's reading it off. Let me be quiet for a second. In the 73rd pick, the Giants select Jalen Hyatt. Let's go. Let's get it, man. We're going fast. We're going fast. We're going fast. I wanted A.T. Perry as my number one wide receiver at this point, but Jalen Hyatt he's a speedster. This dude is going to stretch the field. We got Darren Waller working that underneath. He's already a fast tight end. We got a lot of wide receivers that can work that middle of the field. A lot of wide receivers that can work underneath, but we do not have a dominant field stretcher. I don't care what you think about Jalen Hyatt as far as his route running. It needs a ton of work. He has a ton of work to do in the route running category. But in the third round, you get a guy who may be the fastest player on the field 15 weeks out of 17. He may be the fastest player on the field, people. This guy runs streaks, and he's just open. He's just open because he's so fast. If you go back and watch this tape of Jalen Hyatt, I mean, just look at the speed. Hendon Hooker is releasing the ball before Jalen Hyatt even clears the defensive backs, and he's just there. So this pick right here shows me that the Giants want to air it out. I'm not saying they're abandoning the run, but it does show me that the Giants want to put some air under the football. That they want that they wanted to be traveling 40 yards downfield, which I think this is something we needed in the worst way. A.T. Perry is, I think A.T. Perry is going to be a good player. I do think he's probably a better all around receiver than Jalen Hyatt because he can run routes. He has good hands. He has some drop issues though, but A.T. Perry is a well rounded wide receiver. He can go up and get the ball, all of that stuff. But at the same time, A.T. Perry is not a guy that you line up outside and you're like, he's going to run past our whole defense. We got to play 10 yards off of him. Jalen Hyatt is going to do that. Jalen Hyatt is going to be running these deep crosses for us. He's going to be running these deep posts for us, and he's going to be running some screens, and he's going to be running some streaks. And that's all we need. Because look at, and then Cedric Tillman goes right after him. What a couple of picks for Tennessee. What a couple of picks for Tennessee. Cedric Tillman goes right after him. So shout out to Cedric Tillman. But Jalen Hyatt, you line him up there on the outside. You got Big Darren Waller in the middle. You got Wan'Dale Robinson working that middle of the field. You got Isaiah Hodgins as that possession wide receiver that's going to be able to kind of pull that defense down. Jalen Hyatt is going to be getting singled up. And if he doesn't, guess what? One of those other guys is going to get singled up. And this just makes everything better. Just the fact that you're able to stretch that field is a game changer, in my opinion. I mean, looking at this, let's talk about JMS too. I didn't make a formal video about John Michael Schmitz. Great pick there. The Giants are doing a lot of good things. I mean, again, 25th overall pick. This is the second year in a row, and this feels great as a Giants fan to be saying this. This is the second year in a row that we have multiple players that I would have drafted with the same pick. This is the third round, people. I would have not been upset. You wouldn't see a video of me throwing stuff and banging on the table, which I have done before and people have gotten mad. You would not see me banging on the table, throwing stuff. I wasn't throwing stuff, but you wouldn't see me angry if we came out and took Jalen Hyatt at 25. We got Jalen Hyatt at 73. We got John Michael Schmitz at whatever that pick was, but we got John Michael Schmitz in the second round at 26. We got John Michael Schmitz in the second round at 26. This is what a GM is supposed to be doing. This is what a good GM feels like. This is what a good GM feels like. We go up and we get a player that's going to help us. We're not worried about, a fifth round pick here, a sixth round pick there, a seventh round. We don't like we used our picks. I'm not sure if we traded away a fourth rounder. We probably had to trade away a future fourth or something like that. But I am just fine because the three things that I wanted to come out of this draft with is a wide receiver that puts fear into the defense. Check. As soon as Jalen Hyatt steps out there, we saw this with John Ross, people. We saw this with John Ross. As soon as Jalen Hyatt lines up, the defense has to back up. They're backing up. They're backing up at that point. As soon as he lines up. On top of that, I wanted an offensive lineman that could play center. We got maybe the best center in the entire draft. And then on top of that, I wanted a guy who could play corner, who could be that second corner to Dory Jackson. I think we got a top 3 corner in this draft. And I think we're doing a great job. I'm still looking to see what we gave up. I mean, there's always, barring what we gave up. But in the meantime, I love the pick. And I'm going to take some time here to see if the news is out about what we gave up. So far, we've made 2 trades so far. I did not care about losing a 5th and a 7th round pick to make sure we got Deonte Banks, and I definitely don't care. Let's see what we did. No details yet. Okay, so the Giants traded picks 89 and 128. I have the draft tracker right in front of me. Let's see what 128 was. I wonder if that was a fifth rounder. Because if it was, I have no qualms at all. I just don't have any qualms. We traded 128, so that's our fourth rounder. So the Giants did trade away their fourth rounder to get Jalen Hyatt. But again, what I wanted to come out of this draft with was a dominant wide receiver. And when I say dominant, I mean a wide receiver that puts fear in the hearts of defenses, a center that could come in and play center day one, and um, I wanted a cornerback, and we got all three. Whatever happens the rest of the draft means nothing to me. The rest of the guys we need is depth pieces. We need a depth safety, maybe. We need a depth running back, which we can get in the fifth round, sixth round, seventh round. So happy with what we're doing so far. Joe Shane makes me feel like I'm not in the twilight zone, and we're actually taking good players that I think are good players, that someone down the block thinks is a good player, that most people think are good players, not players that we think could be good in 3 years if we have the perfect coaching and if he doesn't sprain his toe going out to the store to get a Gatorade. Not nothing like that. We actually have good players that we're drafting, and I think they're going to be good players in the NFL. So I'm hoping that Jalen Hyatt comes out and becomes the player, a dominant receiver that I know he can be. And I have no qualms. I have no issues with JMS. I think he's going to come and be a plug and play center day one. Will he be dominant? I'm not sure, but I know he'll be plug and play. And I can guarantee you he will be I guarantee he'll be better at center than Shane Lemieux. I 100% guarantee you that. And Deontay Banks is going to ball. So let's go Giants. I'm going to end this vid right here. Appreciate what Joe Shane is doing for us. So I'm back looking at the live stream chat. You said Tudo said we're still short of a run stopper. I think we got enough run stoppers. I mean, you look at our team. You got to remember Nick Williams last year was hurt for most of the year. And DJ Davidson, who we drafted to be our backup nose, was hurt most of the year. And they were doing a great job at the beginning of the last year. And to add on to that, we added in a run stopper, Nacho. We added another run stopper, Ashawn Robinson. That's 4 defensive tackles that we're getting back next year. 4 defensive tackles we're adding to that rotation that was there last year. That problem was that we had way too many people off the street playing defensive tackle last year. But we got 4 bodies there behind Leonard Williams and Dexter Lawrence, and I think all of them are playable guys. All of them are playable, rotational, good interior defensive linemen that you could make an argument are starters. So I think the run stoppers right there are looking good. Now, of course, Thibodeau and of course Ojulari have to step up. We do need an edge rusher. We do need a third edge rusher. I don't know where that's going to come from. It may be Jihad Ward going forward still, but we still need that rotational edge, and we need those rotational edges and our starters to hold up against the run. But as far as interior, I feel really good. As far as linebacker, we could use some depth there now. We're getting into the later rounds. But other than that, I'm liking the way our roster is looking. Hey, man, shout out to you, man. I'm happy we got John Michael Schmitz. Shout out to you. And apologize, GSD. I cannot put you on the screen because my comments aren't working. But I see you left a $5 super chat. Appreciate that. Great work. Keep doing what you're doing, brother. Appreciate you, man. Appreciate you for the super chat. I love being on this stream during the draft, especially to talk Giants football. I think we're getting better. I really feel like for the first time in my adult life, the Giants are moving in the right direction. The last time I felt good about the Giants before this past season, and everything going well, and a little bit of the Joe Judge stuff was 2016. And then before that was 2013. So feels like we're doing things that make sense in the draft. That's all I'm saying. You said Ivan Pace. If we can get Ivan Pace with our next pick, guys, our next pick is going to be in the 5th round. So let's see. Let's look at the Giants picks. Our next pick is going to be in like the 200s. Oh, we have a comp pick. We have a comp pick in the fifth round. What am I talking about? I just said fifth round. So our next pick is going to be in the fifth round, and it's going to be a comp pick in the fifth round. So our next pick is basically a 6th round pick, and some people are going to be angry because they feel like we didn't get a 4th round pick, but we kind of didn't get a 5th round pick either. But at the same time, I'm happy with the players we got, and I think it was worth those trades. But yeah, our next pick is going to be the end of the 5th round, then six, and then we got 2 7s. But we'll see what they can do there. I think we're probably going to be looking for a running back there in the fifth, a running back or some kind of edge, and then probably some kind of linebacker. We'll see how that pans out. See what the Packers take here. Tucker Craft to the Packers. Appreciate that again, man. Again, I can't pop it on the screen, but big shout out to you for the $50 super chat, man. Appreciate that. And say hope it helps the channel. It definitely will help the channel. Definitely will help the channel. Appreciate that, man. Really, really nice. Really appreciate it. But I really I'm really liking what we're doing here. And Tucker Craft is really good. This tight end class is amazing. Shout out to you, man. I wish I could give you a proper shout out. It's so frustrating that I'm not able to see my comments and my streaming software. But appreciate you sending that in, man. Definitely. But let's I almost feel like I think I might my next stream, I think I'm just gonna be watching film on Jalen Hyatt. I have so much tape on that dude. I don't have as much tape on everybody that the Giants go after, but Jalen Hyatt, I got a bunch of tape on him. I did a video on Jalen Hyatt, and I would have been happy with him with the 25th overall pick in the draft, and we got him at 73. We got him at 73, man. You can't do much better than that. And then Josh Downs goes to the Colts. That's a good pick for the Colts. These wide receivers, I mean, these wide receivers that were after that first class, man, they fell. I love that we got this guy in the 3rd round. I really love that we got Hyatt in the 3rd round. And the thing is, Maximus, it's like the thing is, Maximus, there's not even that many talented wide receivers. I'm going to show you right here. It's just that they all got pushed down. Let's look at you got Hyatt, Flowers, Downs, JSN, Quentin Johnston, Cedric Tillman, Jordan Addison, Tyler Scott, Tank Dell, Marvin Mims, Mingo, Perry. So that's about 12 guys that I think are starting level wide receivers, which I think is pretty good. But compared to last year and years before, this wide receiver class isn't that good. But they just all got pushed down. And appreciate that again, man, GSD. Getting stuff done. That's what Joe Shane is doing. He's getting stuff done. This dude came in here and he's getting stuff done, man. He's getting stuff done big time. Steelers traded their pick to the Panthers. Uh, in the meantime, I'm not waiting for another Giants pick. We don't pick again until tomorrow. So in the meantime, while we're doing that, I'm going to start wrapping things up. But before I do, I'm going to go through the division and I'm going to look at what we've all done so far. Guess we can start off with the Cowboys. Look back at the chat. Tudo, appreciate the 1999. He says, D6, great job, live draft stream and commentaries, mate. Greetings from our entire rugby club in Italy. Appreciate the love as always too, though. And again, it's upsetting that I cannot throw these super chats on the screen. It's not even that I think you guys are super chatting to get on the screen. I just like to throw the super chats on the screen, but for some reason I'm not able to do it. But like I said, before I get out of here, I want to go through what our division rivals have done so far. And maybe I don't know what the first game next year will be, but let's start with the division rivals. So the Cowboys so far, they brought in Mozzie Smith as their guy that they want to come in and stop the run. Hopefully that doesn't work out well for him, but Mozzie Smith is a good player. He's a big boy. He's like 330. He's going to play one tech for him. He's going to try to be their Dexter Lawrence. He's not going to be Dexter Lawrence, but probably going to be good at stopping the run. Then they picked up Luke Schoonmaker, good tight end, in a deep tight end draft class. They picked up two solid players. I could have sworn. Oh, we just didn't get to their pick yet. It's because we traded our pick. But we'll see what Dallas does a little bit later. We'll see what Dallas does a little bit later. But for now, they got Mozzie Smith and they got Luke Schoonmaker. Let's look at the Eagles, who probably have like knocked it out of the park compared to everybody else. Eagles, Jalen Carter, Nolan Smith, Tyler Steen, Sidney Brown. All guys except Sidney Brown out of the SEC. Sidney Brown to me was my second best safety in this draft. You got him at in the third round, which is good value there. Sidney Brown I thought would go in the second round, but just good value there for the Eagles. Let's look what the Commanders done so far. And if the Commanders haven't picked yet, I might stay on. Oh no, they picking like 20 picks. Never mind. But so far the Commanders have picked up Emmanuel Forbes and Jatavius Martin, two corners. That's interesting. Two corners. So I cannot think of their roster right now, what they had at corner before, but it looks like they felt that it was a need because they got two of them. Kendall Fuller, yeah, Kendall Fuller's there. Cam Dantzler, St. Juste is there. So they wanted to really improve their corner, and it looks like they got two guys there. And now let's look at the Giants. I really feel like, besides the Eagles, it seems like so far we've had the best draft in the division. The Eagles it just wasn't fair. They had too many picks. They had two first round picks, people. They had two third round picks. So, I mean, what do you expect there? But looking at the Giants picks, Deontay Banks, JMS, Jalen Hyatt, three good players, man. Three players that I would not have minded taking at 25. And I see some people in my group chat, they're saying we should go after Dorian Thompson Franklin. That's possible too. But I'm thinking in the fifth round, at the end of this fifth round, it'll be a guy like Dorian Thompson. I might have gotten the dude's name wrong. I'm pretty sure it's Dorian Thompson Franklin or Dorian. Let's see. Or maybe I'm completely messing his name up. Dorian Thompson, not Franklin, but Robinson. Dorian Thompson Robinson. So I would look at that guy in the fifth or sixth round. I would look at let's look at some of these running backs. Let's see. I would consider Israel. I would consider Zach Evans, but they won't be there in the fifth round. Let's keep it real. If Tajay Spears for some reason is still there, but probably the guys you're looking at is Sean Tucker, Chase Brown, Tank Bixby, Muhammad Ibrahim. You're probably looking at those guys, and I would take any of those guys in the fifth round. Let's look at what we got at linebacker. Let's see what would be the next need there, because you got running back, you got backup quarterback. But you got Tyrod for now, so you don't need a backup quarterback. Tight end, you're doing good at. Safety is probably a spot. You can go a lot of options there. I don't think Jordan Battle will be there. Jamie Robinson probably won't be there, so I wouldn't. I don't really see the value there at safety. But you could get a contributing running back in that fifth round that could really come in and give you some valuable snaps. Exactly. And then edge is probably a place that you have to go. Um, Edges are going off the board. They're. I don't see. It's just too premium of a position. I just don't see us getting a crazy value at edge. Ali Gay is here. As an LSU fan, that'd be fun to see Ali Gay here, but I don't think he'll be there in the end of the fifth round. But we'll see. We'll see. Brenton Cox Jr. We'll see. But yeah, I would definitely love us if we want a guy that's going to contribute. Definitely, the way to go would be running back. Definitely would be a running back. Yeah, it's not always a throwaway. My only argument for a fifth and seventh round pick is for more often than not, fifth and seventh round picks are not going to be game changers. And why not use a fifth or seventh round pick to move up one spot to make sure you get the guy that you want to take in the first round? That's my only thing. Other than that, it doesn't really matter to me. And I see Diablo in the chat. He's saying, let's go. Jalen Hyatt time. I think I remember Diablo in the chat yesterday saying he wanted Jalen Hyatt. Guess what? Your dream came true. And we got him in the third round. If you were to ask me, do I want Jordan Addison in the first round or Jalen Hyatt in the third round, and we also get a cornerback in the first round, I'd take that. I'd take Jalen Hyatt. 2 rounds later, I'd take Jalen Hyatt. Yeah, I mean, you definitely do have to plan for Saquon. And I think if we got a guy like Chase Brown or we got a guy like Sean Tucker, I like both of those backs. And I think that both of them may be there. And Tank Bixby may be there. And then Tajay Spears goes off the board there. So one of those running backs will be there at the end of the fifth round. So I'm not going to be live tomorrow, but I will eventually have videos on those players. And I might be live on Sunday. So be on the lookout for that. But for now, yeah, I don't think Tajay Spears was going to last to us in the fifth round anyway. So it doesn't hurt too much, but I really did want to see him as a Giant if things aligned right. But good pick for them. I just won't be home tomorrow, Optimus. But like I said, I will get out I will get out some videos probably sometime tomorrow, maybe late tomorrow, and then on top of that, I'll probably be streaming on Sunday to talk about the draft as a whole. All of my people that I usually stream with, they're taking breaks right now. Taking breaks right now. I might see if I can get some people on, but if not, I'll be here by myself on Sunday to talk about the draft so far. But another thing that's shocking to me is the Buccaneers did not take a quarterback. I know they got Baker Mayfield there, but I mean they could have had Hendon Hooker or somebody. But again, happy with the draft. I think so far, I mean, at this point, I'm calling the draft a good draft. What we do in the fifth to seventh round can only be icing on the cake. I don't think we're going to reach for somebody so ridiculous that it'll ruin the overall draft. But you guys have a great rest of your night. Enjoy the draft. Have a relaxing weekend. And I'll check back in with you through video tomorrow and probably through stream on Sunday. Hopefully my chat will be working on my streaming software so I don't have to look back down at my phone. So you guys have a great rest of your day.